Hey, welcome everybody. I'm so glad to see you guys here. Just out of curiosity, how many repairers in the room? Wow, amazing, amazing. My name is Kai Young. I'm the current chairman for Society of Collision Repair Specialists, and we're proud to offer the OEM Collision Repair Technology Summit to you guys today. Were you guys lucky enough to attend the first session? I'm still amazed. I've been in the business 43 years. And I remember when you couldn't get information. You were repairing cars, just, hopefully properly keeping your consumers safe. But the panel that we had before us, it's just amazing how much information they had to share with us. And even myself that have attended all of these, I still take away something from it. So I'm really happy that you're attending, and I hope this helps your business and helps your consumers and safety and the procedures you operate in your shop. With that said, I want to introduce Aaron Clark with Assured Performance and Dave Kreskus with Reliable Auto Equipment.
Thank you, Kai, and I echo everything that Kai said, and welcome to you all thank you all for being here, and welcome to part 2 of the OEM Collision Repair Technology Summit. We're going to be introducing each one of our panelists one by one. They're going to go through a brief presentation, get seated on the stage, and then we'll begin with the panel as soon as the initial presentations are done. And with that, I'm going to start it off with Ben Sid. He'll go through his first presentation, and we'll continue through the rest of them until we're completed. Kind of like the other sessions, you guys are going to have cards. Make sure that you're writing down questions as we're continuing through the panel, and we'll take questions ongoing throughout the panel. Okay? Ben, thank you.
Good morning. I know we have, I'm sometimes clicker challenged, sorry guys. So I have a quick presentation for you. It's just to give you a little bit of background of our program, what we do, how it's set up. Basically the Certified Collision Program for us, I think for anybody, is set up really to give our customers a place that we can say that they've done the training, they know what they're doing. The way our program is set up, training is the main focus for us. This is basically just a quick setup or how our program is broken down. We have base certification. Basically all of those facilities can work on any of our vehicles, except for the ones that require aluminum welding, any kind of structural welding or panel replacement welding. That would be into our elite facility. And then the third one of our shops, breakdown I should say, is actually our Sprinter. And again, that's really just because of their sheer size. It's just a large vehicle. Training requirements for all of these, there's no difference. Tools and equipment requirements for them, basically they're all the same. The only difference is the elite certification obviously does require the approved welders. We've done quite a bit in regards to making our program easier for shops to be a part of when it comes to tools and equipment, but not easier when it comes to training. Training is still a big part of our program. We do have minimum standards for training. Anybody that works on our vehicles at the collision centers are supposed to be assigned Mercedes-Benz ID numbers, which is what gives them access to training. And then there are minimum training requirements for them, as well as ongoing, obviously, to maintain the certification. The facility itself, to ensure that the right number of people are working on the vehicle, we also require minimum number of people at the facilities with MBID numbers, obviously taking training. The minimum number we have set is 5 or 50% of the staff, whichever number is greater. So of course we did that to make sure as many people as possible are getting the training and actually out there working on the vehicles. Our program does rely on a sponsorship relationship. There is either a dealer-owned or dealer-sponsored facility. Our training is available to either fully. We even actually help with travel. When they're beyond a certain distance, we actually do take care of the flights and things to make sure, like I said, training for us is a real priority. This right here is a breakdown of our new training and training requirements for the different job roles that we have. We actually had a meeting yesterday with our collision centers. Some of them are actually here in the room today. So we did actually introduce this to them yesterday, but this is actually new training that's coming up and available, and then training requirements for each of the different job roles that we have. So again, training is our number one priority. With that, I will turn it over.
Thank you, Ben. And next up is going to be Mark Zoba with Nissan North America.
All right, welcome everyone. All right, again, Mark Zoba, Manager of Collision Strategy and Growth. I'm going to take you through the certified network for Nissan. For the agenda today, it's pretty simple. I'm going to take you through kind of our guiding principles. We're going to talk a little bit about the growth and how the network has developed over the last few years. We're going to talk about training and education, new things that we have coming out. We're going to talk a little bit about our marketing strategy, which is a key element for a lot of shops. And then we're going to talk about, again, elevating the network to the next level and what we're looking for from shops as we move forward. So from a guiding principle standpoint, again, we start with our mission. We want to provide innovative solutions, innovative services delivering measurable value to all stakeholders for the purpose of driving owner loyalty and retention after a collision. So that's kind of our mission. That's what my team looks at. From there, we have a vision to create the partnerships, supporting the complete vehicle life cycle, alleviating stress, inspiring trust, and instilling confidence. So again, as we create these partnerships with the shops, with the different partners that we have, we want to make sure that we continue to see this vision through, and it moves forward to the vehicle owner commitment. So we want to provide a validated collision repair solution through a documented safe and quality restoration of complete vehicle systems using OEM procedures, thereby inspiring customers' trust and instilling confidence after the repair. So when it comes down to it, obviously we want a safe quality repair, and that's what we're promoting with our network. And we want to make sure that from the customer standpoint, they see that, and we believe that as we move forward in elevating the shops in our network, we will achieve that going forward. A lot of the key words that my team looks at, this was all about quality. It was about brand protection. It was about safety, the customer, putting the customer first, making sure we're doing the repairs correctly. Yes, parts is in there. I know when we first started this program, that's what everyone thought. This was just a parts play from the OEs. But what they didn't know is what we knew, right? We knew what our vehicles were going to be coming out with. We knew that we were going to be changing materials in our vehicles. We knew the technologies that were coming down the pipeline. So we want to make sure that the industry is prepared to obviously fix those vehicles as we move forward. So overview and quick background. So we've had continuous growth of the network. We partnered with Assured Performance back in 2015. We identified hand raisers at the launch. We created data pipeline for the shops. We developed the customer marketing strategy. We accelerated the network growth through that time period. And as you can see in the bar, we continue to see that growth. Then 2017 to 2018, again, we further enhanced our shop marketing capabilities because, again, that's what I kept hearing from the shops, right? As we created this partnership, I continue to ask each of the partners, what is it that you need from us? And first off, they want to know, how are we going to drive people to their shops? The other thing they want to know was, okay, what are you going to do from a training standpoint? What are we going to do to, again, kind of elevate this and make sure we're driving customers that way, right? So as we talk to our different partners, we start focusing on those different things. We start elevating, again, the network as a whole. So we continue to build out the network. We're developing shop scorecards, as well as Nissan-specific training, which a lot of our shops have been asking for. Right now, we depend on iCar. They do a great job for us. We continue to expand courses with them, and we're continuing to look at Nissan-specific training. As we go forward, we're going to continue to hold the shops more and more accountable. So we're looking to implement a smart shop locator that, again, is going to prioritize the shops that are doing things right. We want to refine the network shops. Again, the shops that are obviously performing, we want to keep in the network. If they're not performing, we're going to ask them to probably step aside. We are moving warrantable paint claims to our certified shops. So starting January 1st any warrantable paint claim that Nissan has to pay for on our vehicles has to go through a certified shop. So even if our dealers aren't certified, our dealers will actually have to take that customer's car to a certified shop. We also are continuing to build our strategic partners network, and we're enhancing the network training as well. So from a training standpoint, we are launching in December some new collision estimating essentials. This will be a required course for all of our certified shops. Collision Advice has helped us develop this course, and it goes in a deep dive into our repair procedures. Any of you that were in here during the last session, we talk about how the forces of a collision move through the vehicle. So again, helping the shops identify where they should be looking for damage. And it's a pretty intensive day-and-a-half course where we walk through making sure everyone's comfortable with repair procedures, identifying single-use parts, and so forth. We're also launching in November iCar Leaf training. As you guys know, our electric vehicle, the Leaf, has a lot of new technologies in it. And that high-tech vehicle is the starting point as we start to launch a lot of those features and elements that are in that car to other vehicles within the fleet. So we want to make sure that shops fully understand the technologies that are in the Leaf so that they can fix that car right the first time. So some very specific Nissan training that we're continuing to put out there to the industry and to our group. Promoting the network, again, we put together a pretty extensive marketing strategy right from the beginning because as we develop the network, shops again wanted to know how we're going to drive customers to their network. We continue to message with our owners right from day one. On a regular basis, we're communicating over the course of a year over 60 million impressions out there to our owners and consumers about the benefits of using the certified network, the benefits of getting their cars repaired correctly with quality parts, and having it done right. We do that all up in front before the customer actually has that collision. Now, when that collision happens, we have education elements for the consumers. We have the shop locator that drives that customer to those shops. And then as we connect our vehicles more and more, we're going to be able to direct our vehicles right to our certified network shops once our connected vehicles start to get more and more, which we see that happening very quickly as the next thing coming down the pipeline. From there, we have a retention piece, right? Because it's about, again, making sure the customer was happy with the repair, making sure that customer comes back and wants to buy another Nissan in the future. So we do a retention thing at the end. We have a thank you campaign. We go out, every customer that goes through one of our certified shops receives a thank you for making that smart choice using the certified network. And then they get a $25 service credit that they can use at their dealer. Again, to drive them back to the dealer, get them to see the new cars if they so choose to want to transition to something else. Shop accountability. So the next piece and the next phase is obviously elevating the shops, right? So we have 6 key elements that we're going to focus on. And from a shop's perspective, these are a lot of the same things that your insurance partners have probably been tracking you on all along. The difference is the weighting's obviously slightly different, right? We're going to be focused more on the quality element, making sure things are documented, making sure things are QC'd during the process. We're going to be looking at cycle time, CSI scores. Again, focused on the documentation as a way to ensure that the quality repair is happening. So what do they all want, right? So when we look at the different, from a shop's perspective, we said, okay, what do customers want, right? They want trust, empathy, and direction, right? And what do your insurance partners want? They want speed, service, and accuracy. And then the OEMs want safety, brand protection, and obviously quality parts, which we believe start with the OE parts, right? So when you start looking at what you guys are faced with as repairers and trying to juggle your different stakeholders, we want to make sure that you guys kind of see how this all fits together, right? Because these all intertwine, right? They're all intermixed. We want to make sure you guys understand how you can do that. So basically, we believe a certified document repair provides the positive repair experience delivering on your shop stakeholder needs. So again, by documenting that repair, by making sure everything is done per OE repair procedures, we believe you can take care of all of your stakeholders, from the customer to the insurance carrier and to the OE. So from a shop customer standpoint, again, when you're able to show them what you did and that that's a certified repair, that customer has trust in that repair. They can see the images. I have a lot of my certified shops that are providing images along the way to the customer when they pick up that vehicle. So they can see how that repair was done. And that builds trust and confidence in that vehicle repair, right? It provides direction and confirms how the repairs were completed. It helps with that empathy piece because, again, the customers, they can work with the shops. The shop can say, hey, I understand we're taking care of your car. This is what we did to your car, right? Because it's so important to that customer. And then again, it instills that confidence, alleviates stress, and then it also allows the shop to be kind of that educator, which these customers are looking for as well, right? So as you guys can see how this all fits back to our mission, our vision, and everything that we're making out that promise for that customer as well. I think you guys can see how this all is starting to come together and we start connecting the dots, right? It's taken a long time to connect these dots. There's no question there's more dots to be connected, but we continue to move down that path. From an OE and insured standpoint, again, we want to keep the customers informed. We want to make sure you guys are using the repair procedures and researching those. Again, and the genuine parts reduce cycle time, increase speed and accuracy. So with that, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Mark. Next is going to be Ken Park with Volvo to talk about some of the exciting things they're doing.
Good morning, everyone. Kenneth Park, Certified Collision Manager for Volvo Cars. We initiated our program in May of last year, and we are growing at a rapid pace. We are very particular about the shops that we want to put on. Just as my fellow colleagues, we look for the base standards and then some. So what we're doing right now and what some of the benefits are to the program itself is increased volume to our facilities. We want to ensure that our vehicles are being sent to the facilities that can repair the vehicles correctly, especially with more and more utilization of aluminum parts, boron materials, and for our future vehicles, introduction of carbon fiber as well. We want to help them increase their throughput by giving them the access that they need to the tools and data. And also, as an extension of our Volvo retailers, we want to help the system increasing their CSI scores as well. Very important. At the end of the day, it's all about our consumers. So our base standards is we do require training. Right now, it is ICAR as our base. We are working on developing additional courses in-house. Tools and equipment right now, very similar to our colleagues, we do require fixture systems. We do require downdraft spray boost. Facility and shop process, we do go in and we do inspections on every one of our facilities. So we'll do a one-day in-house audit where we speak with the manager, sit down with the staff, go through their prior repairs, go through the quality control processes, meet with their technicians, go through their prior training, ICAR and beyond, and then obviously inspect all their tooling in their facility and make sure everything is safe. We do also require the OEM parts. So currently we require 95% OE parts on all of our repairs. In 2019, we will be requiring 100%. We do not allow any type of aftermarket or LKQ utilization or especially reconditioned parts on our vehicles. Thank you. One way that we do get to where we want to be and continue is our proprietary software, Vita. What Vita does is a full-out database of all repair methodologies. The technology goes into the vehicles, and it'll give you sectioning time and anything else you could possibly need to fix the vehicles. The one thing we do not allow our shops to do is anything as far as programming on autonomous. Very dangerous, better stay away from it. Liabilities are there, I'm sure everybody can agree. But autonomous technology and continuing to develop every single day, that is the one thing we do require to be sent out to our retailers to have done. Very interesting thing that we have done some research on is that 85% of Volvo consumers search for a certified facility online in the event of an accident, which is a huge opportunity for our facilities. So with that, we have developed our search locator, and our Volvo retailers that are sponsoring our facilities also have those facilities listed on their Tier 3 website. So when that Volvo consumer goes on, they can look up through the local retailer or Volvo Car USA to find a facility within their region. We currently have 203 facilities. We will be putting on 350 and capping it at that. And that includes as well as Alaska, Hawaii, and the continental states. So any shops that are interested, we relatively streamline the process for the most part. When we have a party that is interested in signing up, the first thing that we do is vetting. We want to find out as much as we can about the shop. We do as much vetting as we possibly can and really dig down as deep as possible. After that, they will reach out to a Volvo certified, or excuse me, a Volvo retailer to seek sponsorship. And each one of our facilities do require a sponsoring retailer. After they do seek sponsorship and do get approved by that sponsoring retailer, they will reach out to us and we can get the ball rolling with them. At that point, we go through some base guidelines. We send them a data sheet showing everything that we are expecting of them, and we'll actually score them prior to going out to the facility to make sure they are at the tiers they need to be before we waste any time on another part. Once the contract is signed and we do go out and visit and perform the audit, we can have a very quick turnaround as far as certification within a matter of weeks between getting you on our website, Tier 1, Tier 3, receiving your plaque, and pushing vehicles through roadside or Volvo on-call. With that being said, I do appreciate it. And any questions, by all means, I'll be here after the show if anybody has anything to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. And our final presentation is going to be from John Eck with General Motors.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending. I look forward to the opportunity to engage with all of you on the panel as well as in the audience. Great job by my colleagues on the panel as well. I think much of what they said very applicable in a lot of regards to the programs. I want to take a step back first and talk a little bit about why General Motors did this and what's the basis behind our collision repair network. And it truly is about proper safe repair. That's the basis of it. That is the genesis of it, and that is the objective of what we're trying to accomplish. And if we look deeper into General Motors and we talk about who General Motors is today as opposed to where we were maybe a few years ago, these are our guiding principles and priorities that we focus. Everything that we do has to be structured around these. We are absolutely committed to safety. Number one, no compromise in any regards to safety in anything we do. It is about putting our customers first and at the center of all of our decision-making and as we develop our programs. So our entire focus of our program is about our customers and then obviously our brands. There's a brand protection basis that a certified collision repair network will help provide, and that is something that is very important to General Motors from a sustainability of customer loyalty. I don't think it's any different than any of my colleagues, but we all want to protect our brands and the integrity thereof. And then the other one that is really relevant to this industry that we're starting to get into is how do we use technology, not just in the vehicles, but in our repair process to accomplish that which we're trying to achieve, and that being a proper safe repair. And these have to be experiences that we can all use and appreciate and leverage to make our jobs better and more efficient. And I think some of the technology breakthroughs that we are working through with our partner Mitchell is helping to get us to a new level and maybe a different space than where we have been to make your lives a little easier. And then the last one on sustaining our solutions and communities. Look, we live and work in communities with you, and we want to make sure that what we're doing is accomplishing and being a part of that community, whether it be the community of the Collision Repair Network or the community that we're even living in. I would say that one of the things I'd like to focus on in very briefly, rather than going through the complete details of our program, you can find them on our website, the core requirements, the tool requirements. We do have a list of tool requirements relative to proper safe repair. We've actually worked extensively in sharing information on the OEM roundtable, which we serve on, and sharing and collaborate and try to be spec-oriented as much as we could. In our tool list, I think you'll find that we're probably much more leveraging trying to be spec-oriented, but where it is specific relative to a spec or specific to a tool, it is what it is because that's what our engineer teams have been able to validate in their systems and in their processes. So that's where, from the tool standpoint. From a training standpoint, we looked at it and we simply said Pro Level 2. Pro Level 2 at all disciplines, including the weldings, requirements are necessary. And the reason is that Pro Level 2 is really where we start seeing blueprinting and the proper training in that regard, and the higher level with getting into aluminum and how you handle these different substrates. So we want to push everybody to Pro Level 2, and then we'll reset the mark, and eventually we're going to be driving towards Pro Level 3 because that's where the technology is today, and that's where we need to help get the repairers to in that stance. So those are some of the key elements. From when we look at technology, we did partner with Mitchell, and and they've been a great partner of ours for decades relative to how they handle our repair information. And repair information is one of the things that we heard loud and clear over the last couple of years. How do I get more OEM repair procedures and information, and how do I make my life easier? And over the last year that we've been working with Mitchell, we've been able to accomplish that. And if you haven't seen it, we have embedded the GM service information into the estimate repair process using Mitchell Cloud Estimating. So your research time of whatever you spend researching for repair information, whether it be a light duty or a heavy duty severity, it's embedded as you write the estimate. It is the GM service information, it is our repair procedures brought forward, and we're talking about how do we leverage technology to make our lives easier. Would you all agree that this makes your life easier if you have zero research time for a GM vehicle repair? So this is not taken down any of our information. This is our full service information, every repair procedure, whether it be collision or mechanical, for any GM vehicle ever manufactured that has a repair procedure on it. So it doesn't matter. And this element, when we were working with Mitchell, it is not exclusive to the collision repair network. It is part of Mitchell Cloud Estimating, and it is available for anybody that's using it, whether they're on our network or whether they're an adjuster or whoever, because the importance of using a proper safe repair and using OEM repair procedures is absolutely critical to a proper safe repair. So it's not restricted in any way just because of a network. So if you have questions about our network or anything like that, it is administrated by Mitchell. We have a booth. Mitchell has a booth. There's a 1-800 number to call as well for more information and support. I'm sure we'll get into questions about the elements of the program in more detail, but we look forward to that opportunity. So, Aaron?
Thank you, gentlemen. A lot of consistency and very relative items that are across all of these platforms. And thank you, gentlemen. We certainly appreciate your feedback and input. Dave Gruskus and myself are going to co-moderate the panel. Again, you guys are able to submit some questions for us as we continue to have our dialogue. A little bit of background on me. I'm a past chairman of SCRS, a former shop owner. Have been in this room with the OEM Summit for the past several years, and looking forward to continuing that and having a dialogue here on this panel. Dave, you got anything you want to add or say about yourself?
My company's just been involved for 30 years or so, from the beginning pioneering the tooling and equipment in these certification programs, and been assisting in the evolution of the training. And so this should be a great panel. Thanks.
So the title of this is The Evolution of OEM Networks and how expectations may have evolved and changed as well. And I think that you've already seen that illustrated a little bit here as these gentlemen have introduced their programs. Anything additional that you guys might want to add that you didn't have the opportunity to go over so far? Maybe the size of your network, how long? I think that, Mark, you were able to illustrate. But maybe, John, if you want to talk about where you're at from an enrollment perspective, and then Ken and Ben, kind of where the size of their programs are.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. And so we have two networks, right? We have our Cadillac Aluminum Repair Network that handles our CT6. That program has been mature now for a couple of years in the marketplace. We have about 100 repair facilities, both dealer and independent, that are on that program, and that's a sustainable amount based upon the car park of that vehicle. For the GM Collision Repair Network, we announced in March, we launched the enrollment portal in August, and so far we've had about 1,000 repair centers start their enrollment process. They are going through the audit process internally, which is automated. We're trying to automate as much as possible. But the other interesting thing is we have Mitchell has partnered with Assured Performance Network and Verifax to help. So regardless of what network you might be in, those two networks are capable of partnering with and coming into the program at a fast track type process and rate to help lower the cost burden to the repair. But right now we're sitting around, before the week started, about 1,000, but we've got a lot of interest this week, and we see some great gains after this successful week here at SEMA.
Okay, good. Ken?
Currently, we're sitting at 203 shops right now. 350 is our goal. We did the math on it, and 350 is logical. We don't want to have too many facilities out there. We want to keep the level of exclusivity. I think that means a lot to the facility, the retailer, as well as the consumer. So we try to position our facilities, and when everything is said and done, within 10 miles in any given direction, you should have a Volvo certified facility at your disposal. Roadside will bring the vehicles up to 50 miles in the event of an accident. And we are going to be launching part restrictions coming in 2019 for our boron and aluminum materials. So getting this network ready and up and running as quickly as possible is a priority of ours to ensure our vehicles can be repaired at a very at a pace that the consumer can appreciate, as well as not having to put them through a burden of a low finance facility to do the repairs themselves.
Okay, Ben?
Yep. So for Mercedes, we actually currently have 281 shops on the program. We don't have enough facilities on the program. There are some areas that we need coverage. We are really looking to be somewhere, I think our true number is somewhere around 400 to 420 is what we're looking to be. We want to make sure, obviously, that we're adding them on in the right way. We have programs out there that we launched recently, actually one called Collision Assist, to actually get customers' vehicles, or customers with damaged vehicles connected with their dealerships and brought into the certified centers. These programs that we have obviously are making the importance of having a certified center within a reasonable distance very important in order for them to succeed. We launched it, like I said, a couple months ago, and we've had pretty good usage on that already. So again, it's getting the size of our network correct. We need to really work on that. That's probably our main focus this next year.
Okay, good. I think all of you guys have developed, or your companies have developed their own repair procedures. Can you talk a little bit about your expectations that you have in place within the network for compliance to using those repair procedures and their adherence to them? And do you see differences in network versus out of network for the utilization of those repair procedures? As soon as we can talk through that, I've already got a couple questions regarding repair procedures. So, Mark, could you kind of begin?
So the expectation is obviously that we want everyone using the repair procedures. And for our network shops, that's why we're launching the new training on the estimating essentials, because again, that focuses on that element of using the repair procedures and then utilizing the tools that we have available to the shops to document the fact that they're using those tools. So yes, for us, it's very important. For the certified shops, it's obviously a little easier because again, as a certified shop, you do get access to our technical information. If you're not, it is a subscription-based tool that the shop has to undertake. And then again, the collision essentials element helps them walk them through. But again, we've been providing more and more information to the industry on navigating our technical information. There's a lot of information out there, and we're not afraid to share it. So we want to make sure that the shops are utilizing it as best they can, and every repair they should be researching it. Because it does change. It does change, something that you may have looked up on a particular vehicle this week may have been different 2 weeks ago, could be something different a couple months from now as our engineers continue to evaluate as well.
Okay, thank you.
I think repair procedure for us is critical, using the OEM repair procedures. It's part of our program. That's why we went to the extensive work we did of the integration in the estimate writing process. It will be measured. We have the ability to measure open, view length, time, downloads, things like that. That's part of the scoring mechanism of the collision repair network. In fact, use of safe, proper repair of using procedures, the scanning calibration piece is the 60% weighted of your score. Other 20% is on customer satisfaction, and then 20%, there's a couple KPIs in each of those. The last 20% is on cycle time and efficiencies. But repair procedures is expected to be used on every repair every time. With Mark's, it's not something that you can say, well, I used it last week. I know every collision is different, and so you might need a different mechanical procedure. So the links and everything that you would need would be there. We make things available through other licensed products that people might use. And there are subscription models where you can buy it if you're outside of the Mitchell Cloud Estimating Platform.
Thank you, John. Ken?
I agree. It is key to utilize the repair procedures in every manner. When we do our audits for our program itself, we do go into our facilities and we'll pull out, 10 to 20 random repairs that were done prior, and we look for every single one of those statements to be in that folder, whether it be a digital folder or a hard folder. So we want to verify that our repair procedures are being utilized for every repair. All of our shops do get a subscription to our Vita platform. However, if a facility is repairing a vehicle, they could always reach out and we'll gladly share the repair procedure for any vehicle, whether you have a subscription or not, because at the end of the day, we want to ensure the vehicles are being repaired properly. Key, especially with all the new materials coming into the vehicles, today's cars are not like they were 20 years ago. So just because you're doing a radiator support on one vehicle, it can be completely different on another. So we want to ensure that the vehicles are being repaired time and time again without a hiccup. But also, along with our audits, we do verify that everything else is being utilized, not just with the repair procedure itself, but with the equipment that was utilized, and also we verify that the parts on the vehicle were OEM.
Ben?
Yeah, so for us, obviously, for everybody, repair procedures and following them is the most important. For our collision centers, every repair, they're expected to look up the repairs. They need to maintain a file, obviously, whether it's paper or electronic, showing that the information was actually researched. Something that we did to help kind of push the usage, we actually now defined what a certified repair is. So the shop then, following that definition, will then be expected to actually provide customer signed proof that I followed these procedures. So of course, by not doing that, it's a potential liability issue. The idea is we want to make sure that everybody understands what the procedure is, understands why it's different to go to a certified repair, how important it is to follow the procedures, and then obviously the facilities themselves actually acknowledging the fact that they've done these things to meet that definition of certified repair.
Okay, thank you. I got a question here that's actually written for GM, but I think it may be applicable to all of you. But GM repair procedures are not readily or easily available, and many shops have zero time to gather it. Is there's still significant time required to review and understand these procedures? The question is, there still significant time required to review and understand those procedures? And I think the answer is obviously yes, that there is significant time that is required to understand the procedures. But any of you might want to take a stab at anything that you're doing to make the procedures more readily available and more easy for the shops to understand. I think it is a challenge out there in the industry that, you guys are all writing the procedures, but they're formatted differently. They're obviously in different places that shops have to go gather them unless they're using a subscription service. Subscription services have their own challenges that are inherent to having subscription-based access to repair procedures versus direct access to the OEMs. But any of you want to take a stab at talking about the differences between those two, between your own repair procedures and a subscription-based procedure, and anything that you guys are doing it to make it easier for shops to navigate through those, or even more consistency with how you guys are delivering them from a formatting perspective?
Well, one thing I would say is, I think when you for GM, when you're writing the estimate now, the relevant procedure relative to the part of the vehicle you're working on or the part that you're inputting into that estimate, those are the procedures and position statements that are brought forward into it. So we're trying to take that navigation down to a minimum, unless you would need mechanical that you need to link through and get some additional support on. So we're trying to make that world easier. From a consistency across our platforms, I think we would all agree, look, the genesis of a repair procedure is really in our engineering platform world. We're global companies, we come from different perspectives. Getting to any commonality from an OEM standpoint, I don't think that's a challenge or a hurdle that the OEMs have embraced to try to get to. It's just, it's a massive undertaking if you were to try to reconfigure, every engineering platform used and how these things are done. I mean, we have repair procedures that start, all of us, globally, and then they end up in formats to support the markets where those vehicles are delivered. So that part, in reality, I don't see that happening. I don't know if my colleagues would defer from that.
100% agree with what you said, with especially coming from the engineering departments, when they put them together. If you reach out to any one of the engineers here or any other manufacturer, their way is the right way. So doing it different, it doesn't matter, so.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think another key point to that, again, is the education of the shops. So, again, that's why Nissan's taking the step to, again, we have that estimating class out there that walks through. And again, as shops become more and more, use the procedures and research them more and more, they'll find that they get very proficient at it. So I think right now it's more of a hurdle just because they're not regularly going into it. I mean, if we look at the data from many of us on how many people are actually researching repair procedures, it's pretty dismal. So I think honestly, as shops spend the time and actually start doing it, it's going to become easier and easier as well.
I think one of the things that we've looked at to try to help as well, and I think we've started this on a couple, it's not many, and I'm not sure exactly which one, Jason Mako, our structural engineer lead, would help. We're trying to figure out how do we provide video support, video segment support on key structural repairs, and how do we attach those video files within repair procedures. I think that's a great way to help absorb and understand the process. But the reality is, look, these vehicles are more and more complex with layers and layers of various substrates, and you have to attack each one differently, and you have to sit down and understand what's that blueprinting process like of how I'm going to get into a 2 or 3 layer substrate material and apply the appropriate type of repair to that. And I think it's one thing to have the repair procedure. It's another thing to stop and study it and learn it and understand what your repair plan is going to be like. And that's the part that's
I
evolving.
agree. I think it's a lack of familiarity with the systems themselves. It really comes down to that, and also being on that side of the industry for a very long time, it was, well, that's just one more step I have to do. So we walk into these facilities now, and it's not so much that our software is complicated or difficult to navigate. It's just one more thing they have to do on top of their daily routines. One thing that I have seen work very well is that there are actually some shops now are assigning one person in their office to look up these procedures time and time again. And as they get more and more familiar with it, it becomes easier and easier for them to navigate through it and access the data. But the facilities say you have to realize that utilizing the repair procedures has many benefits beyond just the safety, but just the hours per repair order alone that you can gain from utilizing the software. The return on investment's there all day long. So use it.
This is actually a two-part question, but one part is, we're talking about repair procedures. In your certification process of auditing your shops, do you track the certified shops on how often they're accessing your repair procedures?
Yes, we do go
Yes.
through logs.
Yes. Or we will be when we launch our network.
It'd be very interesting at some point to hear that in a percentage. The second question is, if a repair procedure is going to be changed, which we all know they change very frequently, does anyone want to just hit on the process of what it is to update a repair procedure and how they actually go about it?
So, sorry, I'll jump into this one because this is an area for us that's sometimes a little bit of a hiccup, which is the main reason why we tell everybody, anytime you do a repair, look up the procedure at that time. The unfortunate thing is, in engineering and all, they find different ways of doing a repair, different whatever, adhesives that they decide to use, technologies change. The problem is they don't tell us when these things happen. They make the change. The only way that you know that there's a change is when you look up the repair procedure, you see the date that it was actually either created or last modified. So that's why it's important always to look up repair procedures. I wish there was a feed that I could say this week this changed. There isn't. It just changes. And sometimes the changes are so many. I mean, I can't even imagine how many notifications I would get. So the idea is, the ideal thing to do is actually look up every repair for every vehicle every time you're doing it.
The only thing I'd add is that we talk about changing them. Sometimes, as I've gotten close to our engineer team, they're awesome at creating a lot of repair procedures, but it's virtually impossible for any of us to create a repair procedure for every single potential instance or scenario. So we look at the majors, we look at what we know needs to be done, and there's things that we learn, and we have a great feedback channel through various sources back, and our engineer team is, a lot of times directly contacting repairers, and they may not have validated it in our engineering labs, but sometimes they'll go back and they'll take a look at it, and how can they help modify it or add a procedure that may not have been there before. And that's part of the process, right? So the OEMs are looking at it and saying, what information can we learn from? What more can we do to support? Yes, sometimes they get modified, updated, or enhanced based upon feedback that we do get back.
Okay, this is going to be a good one here. If the OEM creates repair procedures and the shop can show that they followed the repair procedure, and then a subsequent failure occurs after, so this would be a case where the shop is proving that they have followed the repair procedure, and to that extent, I don't know how you could prove that you did it. It would have to be definitely some potential destructive analysis, but who would be responsible then if and would the OE take any responsibility if the repair procedure was followed, that it was documented, and that I think that if there was sufficient proof to say that the repair was done correctly, would the OE take responsibility at that point?
Well, these repair procedures are,
I'm just reading the question, sorry.
the repair procedures are tested, is what it comes down to. So they don't just put them together, the repair procedures are tested time and time again to ensure they're valid. So that would really come down to a whole lot of things where that vehicle would have to be inspected and then go from there. Beyond that, there's no way to possibly tell you anything. But these repair procedures aren't just slapped together, they are tested. So we don't know that vehicle was involved in an accident prior. It could have been repaired by somebody else and they could have repaired it, and the prior repair to that repair couldn't have done right. That could be a reason for failure. So there's no way to really tell without inspecting the vehicle after.
Agreed. Anybody else got any comments there?
That was a good one.
So, as technology evolves, what once was futuristic is now kind of mainstream and commonplace. But what's being done to ensure that your networks continue to produce safe and accurate repairs, especially when necessary, revolving ADAS systems? So, can you guys kind of talk about enforcement out there in the field to make sure that the shops are compliant with the necessary steps to restore ADAS systems post-collision?
Sure. Sorry, I'll jump in. I think one of the things that we try to do, especially with our new training, is we actually put the technicians in the vehicle and let them drive it, see what the technologies do, see how they function, and then we actually have it where they drive the vehicle with the technologies misaligned, miscalibrated, so they can see what the difference is. Again, to reinforce the importance of doing the right repair and making sure that the procedures are followed and the recalibrations are done and all. It's a little bit different when you actually put the technicians in the car and let them drive it and feel it and see how it actually is supposed to react. They're more likely to understand why it is important to do all of these things afterwards. They actually are, again, like I said, they actually drive the vehicle to see how it is with it when it's miscalibrated, and then they actually do the calibration process there to actually drive the vehicle again to see that it's actually systems back up and online again, functioning properly. So that's the way we've thought best to do it, is actually put the technicians in the customer's perspective.
I think from an ongoing standpoint, we've built metrics into our programs, or we're continuing to evolve them to ensure that we're changing and keeping up with as technology changes in the vehicles. I know at General Motors, we have a culture of collaboration. There's not a day that goes by, and I'm talking Saturdays and Sundays, that probably Jason and I aren't talking to each other. Yeah, you're pointing at me. And it's that culture of understanding what's coming down from an engineering standpoint, what we're doing from a product development, and then working with our partners to ensure that that information is flowing through. And as things happen and change, we need to adapt. And that's our culture of making sure that happens. I've said it since we've launched our program. If you think that the program that you see today is in granite and it's never going to change, that's not right. I mean, we're going to constantly evolve and change and adapt to the marketplace, and we'll find new technologies, new solutions, and things that will force us to look at things differently, which is good. That's collaboration that you guys are going to bring to us, opportunities to find ways to improve and challenge us, and we'll continue to challenge and push the industry, I think collectively from an OEM standpoint. But the program today will look different probably in 6 months or a year, and that's just going to happen based upon either the vehicle or technology solutions or changing environments of the various stakeholders that we all work together with, hopefully.
I just have a question in with this. So Bennett said you put the technician in the car to feel it. So when you're doing a training class, how do you know it's a technician in training or just the shop owner's the only guy going to training because he doesn't want to send technicians because they're busy earning money?
So, I mean, for us, it's going back to our minimum standard requirement for the facility. There are certain training requirements, getting out to the facility a certain number of times, to our training facility a certain number of times for each of our participating facilities. So it's really making it where, just because of the number of training courses, there has to be more than one person coming out to training.
Our plan for future, once we actually open training up, would be that each one of these individuals is given a Volvo ID. And we'll be able to track their ID, and obviously getting into the building would require ID to begin with, so that will ensure the proper people are being trained.
DRP versus OEM. What is your guys' perspective on the widening gap in the industry and what we face between OEM network expectations and DRP network expectations, and any conflict that exists between the two of them? And with that, there's a corresponding question as to whether or not the OEM programs that we're seeing today are the new DRP that should be expected in this industry. So kind of let's talk about the conflict that exists between OEM networks and DRP networks and differences between the two of them.
Okay. I'm happy to take this one on and at least start the dialogue, hopefully. There is a gap, and we need to figure out how to close that gap. And it's going to take collaboration and cooperation on both sides of the stakeholders. We want proper safe repair. And I do believe the insurance carriers want that as well. And their metrics of their DRP programs have been around for a while. And I don't know how often they evolve or change or update their metrics in their DRP programs and process. I don't know. Maybe somebody does, but we've been asking for a couple of years, how do we come to the table together and find solutions? And it's been a challenge, and that's just a real scenario between the two. One of the reasons we picked and partnered with Mitchell was because we wanted to sit at that same table and talk about the same type of data and the same type of how information flows, and at least drive that conversation with the same platform that the carriers are using. And it's starting to change the dialogue, and we're actually starting to see some progress just in the last few months, which should be encouraging. There is a gap. We need to figure out how to close it. I know from my OEM colleagues here and the other ones that are not, there is an openness to do so. I believe it's more and more becoming apparent that it's true with the carriers. I think it's just a struggle of how do you manage cost and how do you manage quality and safe proper repair and some of the metrics. But we need to evolve our OEM programs, and it's time that the DRPs also, and I invite the carriers to have that dialogue with us to evolve the DRP program so that we're focused on the same thing.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, I think everyone wants a safe and proper repair, even the insurance carriers, right? So to say that they don't, I think is wrong, because it's just that they haven't, their KPIs that they've tracked of their DRP programs has just been a different priority than how the OEs would prioritize those, right? So when you start looking at the gap, it's really just about prioritization, right? And as we continue to push down the path of a safe, proper, documented repair, the insurance carriers and those other shops will have to come along with that because there's really no choice, right? So as our certified shops are able to document the repair, show that it was done right, show that it was done properly, the customer is going to ultimately make that choice in the end. And I think that's going to help drive that way as well. So, yeah, there's a gap. I think that gap's going to close because I think we're starting to see stronger relationships with the insurance carriers as well, right? And when I go out and look at my data, the number two way that a customer of Nissan gets to a certified shop is from an insurance carrier referral, right? So the insurance carriers are even seeing the value in the certified network, and they're starting to refer customers to the certified network shops as well.
I think, sorry, one more thing to add on there. I think the fact of following repair procedures and how that important that is, I think is starting to get everybody to be more on the same page and have that way of coming together better. So it's not one program versus another. We're all trying to do the same thing, get the customer back in a safely repaired vehicle. Everyone's starting to understand that a safely repaired vehicle is following these procedures. And I think now that there's more conversations like Mark and John have said, there's more conversations with the carriers and all, and there's more agreement on this is the right way to do it. Now, how do we make sure that we can do this together in the industry and still be okay? You know, as far as everybody needs to make a living, everybody has a business to run. So the conversations are starting to change, which is definitely good.
This one kind of could fall into this a little bit, is, a person has a shop that's a very good shop and they do great repairs. They might be a DRP, and in their market, there's already certified shops. And, they want to be part of it, but they feel shut out. Is there any way of opening up the programs to more shops in specific areas?
So yeah, for us, we don't really have a limit on shops in an area. It really depends on the need. The dealerships, they know their customers. They know how many vehicles they have in their areas. Everybody knows basically what your loss rates are, accident rates in a market. So the idea is do a little research and make sure you got the right number of shops. The last thing we want to have is tell somebody certified collision center is the best place to get the repair done, but you have to wait a month to get in there. It doesn't help anybody out. So the idea is we want to make sure that the right number of shops are in all markets.
So basically, that would mean there's no magic set in stone number for how many shops are going to be certified by one specific dealer.
Correct. So we basically we tell them we have what we call a soft limit of 2, and it's basically because we don't want just to sign up everybody. We want to make sure that they do some research and bring people on because they need it, and then beyond that, as many as you need.
So did you have something you wanted to add? I got a question here about documentation. How important is it, and how does it affect liability, and why should shops document how they repaired the vehicle?
It's critical that they keep that. I think that when we actually looked at that as an element of our program is to, no, we're not assuming the liability. The liability still rests where it rests. But how do you do that? Repair procedure usage and everything's on our platform using Mitchell Cloud Estimating is stored there. The documentation's all stored there, whether it be scanning, whether it be the repair procedure usage, and it's stored there on the cloud for you, so that in 2 years, 3 years down the road, as something question comes up, you have access to it, and it's absolutely critical to maintain the documentation, for what you've done.
I agree with John. In today's day and age, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't document everything.
Current litigation tells us that.
Yeah, exactly. And then for our shops, again, each of our shops is part of the collaboration that we have with Assured Performance. Each shop has their own data safe, right? So as they use the tools that we make available to the shop, and they're recording and documenting everything's put in their data safe for the shops to access electronically in the future as well, right? And that's what's going to be important, making sure that not only are you guys doing it, and the tools are being used. That's one of my biggest gripes with my shops, is I put out all these tools out there for you guys to use, and no one's using them, right? So getting shops to actually use the tools that we spend a lot of time and effort into helping you guys. If they're not the right tools, let me know. But from what I hear from shops, this is what you guys want. We provide these tools out there, and then again, to see shops not utilizing them, to document things. People are still documenting them with paper check sheets, and they're going in a file. And in this world, I'm not sure that's going to be the way you're going to want to operate going forward. So we have the tools available. I want to see my shops using them.
This is actually, we're taking a little step back, but this question is, on your repair procedures on a vehicle, does the repair procedure vary in different countries throughout the world? And are the parts, materials, adhesives, fasteners varying at the same time based on markets, or the repair procedures and what's required the same?
For ours, the repair procedures are the same for the same model. Obviously, we have different models and different versions of models in other countries, but same model, same procedures.
I believe it's same thing.
It'd be the same for us. Same for all the models, but different models in different regions.
Right.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about parts restrictions here. To what extent do you plan to limit the sale of parts to shops that are certified in your network versus non-certified? And will non-certified shops be able to buy parts in the future?
I'll start with that one, because right now, we don't restrict parts. My parts arrangement department doesn't want to be the police of that. The only parts that we do restrict are on the GTR, and that's the way we see that happening or proceeding in the near future.
We have some structural parts on parts restriction with our Cadillac CT6 and our aluminum program there. On this program, there is no parts restrictions. We are very concerned about making sure that the parts are available to the shops when they need them. There's other ways to measure that safe quality output, so we don't do parts restriction. We don't want to certainly hamper cycle time or anything like that. So there's other ways to get to measurements of how the parts are used.
We are going to be doing boron and aluminum in 19. We will be restricting the part sales to our certified facilities or any facility that actually meets the requirements that we have in place.
For us, we do have restricted parts, but they're basically for welded aluminum parts, components. That's the restriction for us.
There's actually two questions. One is what the size of your network is. And then if your mission statement is for customer and brand retention, why do you certify competitive dealer body shops and allow them to conquest your customer? Why would you, so if your mission statement is customer and brand retention, why do you certify competitive dealer body shops, like a Ford, Toyota, Chrysler, and allow them to conquest your customer?
All right, yeah, that's an interesting question. That's a good one. So right now, the network, I have roughly a little over 1,900 shops that are going through certification. I think when I checked last week, we were at 1,536 fully certified. I don't have a specific number, but what I was targeting, what I need for full network build out to make sure that there's basically a light in every market. I need about 1,650 in shops. So I'm going to be culling the herd a little bit when it comes down to holding shops accountable. So I can see over time, I'll probably end up around that 1,600 number or 1,650 number. The reason why you see us certifying maybe other OE shops, it's a function of, well, a few things. One is that a lot of our dealers and a lot of our dealer principals don't own just one brand. They own multiple brands of vehicles. So if you have an auto center, that auto center is owned by the same owner, which also owns a Nissan dealer. But they might have their collision shop might physically be at the Ford dealer down the street. So that's why you kind of see that happening. It's a function of who the owner is and what their relationship is to Nissan.
Any thoughts on, is this going to be an issue with GM that's going to be similar?
Not at all. I'm going to make sure all Nissan certified.
Okay, and I guess it's time to pick on John here. After surviving the State Farm mandated parts trader implementation, we're now being forced to purchase an estimating system in a certified network, which it's not necessarily in all the shops that are out there. And the question is, what does this have to do with a certified repair being completed? And, you know, there's conflicts that exist between the shop's other DRPs and the systems that they use. And of course, if a shop already has OEM procedure access from a subscription service, there's potentially conflicts or redundancy there. And could you maybe talk about that a little bit, John?
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that scenario. I know various carriers require or want certain things, and there's redundancy based upon it from a carrier side. We had to pick a strategy. We had to pick partners that aligned with what we were trying to accomplish. If we tried to be all things to all people, we would never have a program. We made a choice and a business decision, and I think every repairer is in that same position, that they have to make the business decisions that make sense for their business and how they want to operate. It's just really as simple as that. In order for us to get to the metrics and to provide this value and the benefits to the shop, which there's a lot we didn't even get into on how we can do that, how can we help alleviate costs. We're introducing our new GM Partner Perks program. There's all kinds of opportunities. Mitchell's going to be a part of that to help alleviate some of the cost structures through our rebate programs. There's opportunities there, but we had to pick a strategy, and we had to pick partners that we could do things with and get things done, and that was the direction we made. Relative to the redundancy, look, we face the same thing, and I'm going to speak on behalf of your procurement system or your procurement of parts. Our dealers are forced to take multiple systems that they pay every month for, whether it be Parts Trader, OPS, True Parts. Collision Link is another one, right? They're forced to take on multiple procurement systems just to service you, and you might be ordering them different ways just because of that. You don't pay for those procurement systems, the dealer network does. The dealer channel does, and that's where 60-65% of your volume's coming from, regardless of what your mix is. It's just organic and by nature. And so we also have to look at it from what's the best operating principle for our dealer network. We also looked at a system from a North America standpoint. We don't do things just within the States. We look at it global. I work with my counterparts north of the border in Canada, and I work with them around the world. And we have to look for solutions that make sense to operate effectively and efficiently for General Motors as well. And sometimes those solutions don't necessarily always align with what everybody wants, and it's a business choice. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and I know it's not necessarily the answer everybody wants or expects, but this is a path we started with, and we're pleased with the results of what we're seeing in the integration of making life easier from a shop and also for our dealer network.
You did a nice job answering that, John. As ADES leads to fewer repair orders for shops, will certified shops have the opportunity to get additional calibration work, or is that in conflict with your dealer mechanical service businesses? So
Calibration's in GDS2, and that's where you need to have that part of it for calibrating our systems and stuff like that. We expect the full repair to be able to be done at any repair facility.
you guys have any additional comments on that?
It is readily available for our shops to obtain it, should they want to. It is not included in our program, so if they want to offer it, it is a completely different system.
Ours is similar. It is available, but it's a matter of how often you would use it and whether or not it's worth the investment to have the system in place.
Yeah, it's the same for Nissan. Everything's available to the shops.
This question that's coming up, it kind of falls into this, is as the repair procedures become more complete and it's your recommended repair procedures, has anyone ever thought of replacing the word recommend with required?
We did.
That's the first I've heard it.
That seems like a good idea.
Yeah, we came out with some position statements just a few months ago, and I'm not familiar with the word recommend at all. So, thank you.
Our program has metrics around using OEM repair procedures, and they are measured, and it is based upon the culture of your collision repair center, that there's an uncompromised commitment to safety. And use of that is not compromised. There is no option.
So I don't know what you guys might be able to add on this, but the question is what kind, if any, specialization is feasible? And I think the question regarding specialization is, whether or not particular platforms of vehicles would be something that a shop would specialize in and do only certain platforms or certain make models of vehicles. So do you guys see that kind of specialization becoming maybe more necessary or more popular in the future, or what would your feedback be to shops that are asking that question?
I think that's going to be limited to specially produced vehicles, obviously. We have a new division opening up in 2020, Polestar, which will be a subdivision of Volvo, but a brand of its own. And that vehicle will be comprised of aluminum and carbon fiber only. So when it does come to the States, and actually every single model is already sold pre-development, but those vehicles are going to require specialized tooling. It's going to be a platform of its own, very limited, and it will be a completely different certification on its own.
I think from a specialization standpoint, if I'm reading the question right, specialization takes place around the world. There's other markets around the world that only fix certain vehicles at certain shops. That was never the model that the U.S. was founded on. Most shops will try to fix everything that they can. Now it's getting shops to understand that maybe you shouldn't be, or maybe you can't be fixing everything that you think you can. So it might evolve. I'm not advocating one way or the other, but I think as each of us, I'll just keep it to myself. As Nissan focuses on the shops that are doing it right, the shops that are repairing more and more Nissans, I think shops will maybe make that determination on their own.
I think you look at specialization, we all want to talk about specializing in a brand, whether it be Nissan or Volvo or the high import or the complexity of a Mercedes. Is it really by brand, or is it by type of substrate, the type of the repair that you're looking at? You might say, yeah, I can fix General Motors vehicles, and then all of a sudden we introduce a boron steel or some of these ultra high strength steels, and all of a sudden it's what you thought 3 years ago was on a platform. The substrates are completely different. Go look at our new T1 or our new Silverado trucks that are throughout the displays here this year. Just because you worked on a Silverado, a 2018 Silverado, doesn't necessarily mean that you're able to handle the substrate maybe the way it's built and put together for the new one. So I don't know if it is around a vehicle platform as much as it is around, aluminum was the first one, right? With the F-150 that came out from Ford, everybody had to be aluminum certified. And it had really nothing to do with that it was an F-150, it was aluminum and all the capabilities and what you needed from there. And now it's all these different substrates that are really driving that. And that's gonna be harder because we all mix our materials across the vehicle platform. So it's gonna be a challenge. I think if you're looking at can you get enough vehicles from a Mercedes or a Volvo or any one of our brands, does that sustain your business model? And to Mark's point, those are business decisions based upon the car park and the expertise that any repair professional wants to pursue.
Well said.
I also think something else to keep in mind is with the certifications that are out there, if you're part of a certified program, you're already starting to specialize. I mean, that's what you're doing. So you're making a decision to go in a certain direction. That's what the certifications are. You're looking at what your business model is, who your customers are, your market, and you make the decision of which program or who you want to be a part of because of that. So the specialization is already going on.
No, just another question, which kind of leads now into, this is a tough one. All right, so when you have the certified shops, what can stop, or in what way can you emphasize that the cost of repair should be kept at a very, very reasonable rate, and keeping the cost of extra items down to keep it more affordable for the owner of the car and the cost to insure the vehicle?
I'm not
That's a
really,
tough one. It's basically policing a shop
yeah.
to,
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a question we can answer, really. That's up to the shops that are working on the vehicle. The procedures are there, and it's a matter of how do you stick to those procedures and work and get the job done for the customer.
Well, I think, oh, sorry. The one example that I could probably pull right now is our position statement on fascia repair. We have a very specific position statement on repair versus replace, and there are instances where you can do a repair. Now, Mark's yours is a little different, but at the end of the day, we do have a position statement that says there is a repairability to help keep costs down, but when it has this type of technology and there's this type of damage, it's a replace only to ensure that that ADAS system is working properly. But and then if you're going to do a repair, to make sure that the other external sensors are operating correctly, here's what you need to do to ensure that the paint mill doesn't go beyond 13 mil and how to measure it. So we actually try to be more friendly to say there are cases where a repair is absolutely possible. And that's what that's an example I would try to do.
Yeah, I think all the OEs, I think, have some version, or most anyways, have some version of repairability, what can be done to a part. So part of that also is working with your customers, understanding the vehicle that you're working with, working with the insurance carriers, obviously, to come up with the right path to get that repair done. It may not be replacement, because there are options to do repairs. And I think most of the time in the repair, at least for us, I'll speak for us, there are options, there are kind of guidelines on what can and can't be done on certain parts.
I would say to the marketplace, the more information we get on ideas and where that happens is important. So the use of the things like the DEG, I know our engineers are, out and available. And where there are opportunities, we use Mike Anderson from Collision Advice has been a huge proponent. He's been in our building and he's told us some recommendations of things to consider on repairability to help keep costs down. And we look at those. Sometimes we're able to make a quick meaning next model, or we find the appropriate time if we can do it, and sometimes it's not feasible or easy to do, and we struggle thereon. But certainly we are all in tune with what's going on in the marketplace. I look around at my colleagues, I'm amazed, right? We're very engaged in this side of the business, more so than I've ever seen. Every day it seems like more and more, which is great, because you want us engaged to understand what can we do, working with our engineers teams to make the repair process better.
And just one follow-up card, I'm getting all the fun ones. The use of recycled parts is either frowned upon or rejected by OE programs. Why is this? Are they not OE?
Because we can't follow the history of that part. We don't know what it's been through, where it's been held, how it's been repaired. There's no history on that part at all. Without seeing what's been done to that part, we can't do much about it.
That's, for us, it's the same thing. I mean, it's really, it's an unknown. If it's not a part that we actually provided, how can we stand behind that?
A perfect example is if there's 5 pounds of plastic on the hood, and you get LKQ hood, and it's been, added a few millimeters to it, we can't certify that part. There's just no way. I mean, the corrosion underneath it, we have no idea. What it's been through. It could have been, sanded down with a Brillo pad and say, oh, that's just a little scuff, and there was never any rust on it. We stay away from it. We do frown upon it for those reasons.
Okay, before we have any final thoughts here, I've also had a couple questions regarding telematics and their role in the certified network. I would encourage any of you that have asked that question to attend our next panel after this one, because I think we'll dive into telematics and the role that they have and what the future looks like there. These gentlemen may have programs that will utilize telematics in their networks, but we're not really going to talk about that here today. We'll talk about that in the next session. And with that, any final thoughts that you guys have before we close down here and move into our next session?
I think for me, I just want to say thank you, right? Building those partnerships with, is about listening and hearing what you guys have to say as well. So again, if you're part of my network and have ideas, if you're not part of my network and have ideas, I'd love to hear them, right? Because that's how we continue to evolve. As John said, his program will probably evolve. My program's evolved immensely over the years, and it's because of those partnerships, listening to different people, and understanding their perspectives. And again, I want to thank all of you for allowing that today, from my side.
I would echo those. I think it's great. I want to thank SCRS, Aaron, and Dave for, this type of panel is healthy. It's great dialogue. I appreciate SCRS engaging in this manner and forum to allow for this to happen. We invite you to reach out to us. We all sit on our OEM roundtable, and we spend a lot of time talking about this and these issues to help find solutions to make safe, proper repair the ultimate goal. That's it. It's about proper, safe repair, period.
Ken?
Absolutely. Following these fine gentlemen, also, want to thank everybody for the invite today. I think the people in this room are the ones that are going to dictate the future of this industry. And I think in a matter of a few years, we're going to turn it around to where we can all be proud of what we do and the repairs to our vehicles.
Yeah, so again, thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks for having me on the panel today. Going back to what John had said before, the industry itself, I don't know, to me, it seems like there's a lot more conversations between different parts of the industry to kind of work together. Panels like this and other panels and other discussions, there's a lot more conversation back and forth. And I think the conversation leads to better solution. Again, evolving programs, repair procedure changes and updates. Whatever it is, the fact that we're having these conversations and these panels and things like that, that's a great thing. And like I said, it's happening more and more, which I think it's needed. That's how we can get the industry better.
Any final closing thoughts from you, Dave?
No, I think it's great. I think the repair procedures, everything we're seeing is just growing and becoming great. My only concern in the procedures is I'd like to see more tight restrictions on exactly what adhesives you want, exactly what rivets you want, because it becomes a critical piece of the puzzle when the car's getting fixed.
You got that right, Jason?
And with that, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being on the panel, and thank you all for being here.